Hello, and welcome to another lesson from Level Up Mathematics. In today's lesson, we will be adding and subtracting integers using integer rules. Let's start with adding. So there's two things that can happen when you're adding integers. The first thing that could happen is both your numbers have the same sign. In other words, they're both positive or they're both negative. If that happens, you simply add the two numbers and then use whatever sign is in the problem. So for example, we have positive 4 plus positive 3. We add them up. Since our two numbers were positive, our answer is positive. What if both of the numbers are negative? Well, you still add them up, but because they're both negative, your answer has to also be negative. All right. Now, the other thing that could happen is if the signs are different. If the signs are different, then you subtract and then take the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. So for example, if I have 4 plus negative 3, because the signs are different, I subtract the numbers. 4 minus 3 is 1. And then I want to look at the number with the larger absolute value. That would be 4. And 4 is positive. So my answer is positive 1. Now, what if we have negative 4 plus 3? Well, the signs are different, so we still subtract them. 4 minus 3 is 1. But this time, the number with the largest absolute value is negative. So we have to go with that sign, which would be negative 1. All right? So example 1, use the integer addition rules to find each sum. So in problem A, we have negative 8 plus 6. Our signs are different, so we subtract. And then we look for the number with the larger absolute value, which in this case, it's negative 8. If it's negative, your solution is negative. All right, problem B, 5 plus negative 2. The signs are different, so again, we subtract. Now look for the number with the larger absolute value. In this case, it's 5, and 5 is positive. So my answer would be positive 3. All right, problem C. We have negative 4 plus negative 8. So according to the integer rules above, when your signs are the same, you add. So 4 plus 8 is 12. And then you take whatever sign is used in the problem. In this problem, both numbers were negative, so our answer is negative. All right. Problem D. We have 1 plus negative 8. Well, our signs are different, and when the signs are different, you subtract. So 8 minus 1 is 7. Then you look for the number with the larger absolute value, and because 8 is negative, our answer must be negative. All right, problem E, negative 3 plus 12. The signs are different, so we subtract. 12 minus 3 is 9. Then the number with the larger absolute value is positive, so my answer is positive. Excuse me. Problem F, negative 10 plus negative 5. When the signs are the same, you add, and you take the sign of the problem, so negative 15. All right, pause the video and try the last 3 examples on your own. When you're finished, press play and check your solutions. All right, welcome back. In problem G, we had negative 6 plus 6. The signs were different, so I subtracted. 6 minus 6 is 0. 0 is neither positive or negative. In problem H, the signs were different, so I subtracted. And I went with the sign of the larger, which was positive 9. All right, problem I, negative 3 plus negative 7. The signs were the same, so I added them and used the sign that's in the problem, negative 10. All right, now let's talk about subtracting. Subtracting integers. Now, the thing about subtraction is all subtraction problems can be written as addition problems. So when you get a subtraction problem, you want to rewrite that problem as addition of the opposite. So for example, if I had the subtraction 4 minus 7, that's the same thing as 4 plus negative 7. Addition of the opposite. So if I had negative 5 minus negative 3, and I wanted to write that as an addition problem, I would say negative 5 plus the opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. So now we have an addition problem. So after you rewrite the problem as addition, then you just follow the integer addition rules that we learned on page 1. So in problem example 2, it says rewrite each subtraction as addition of the opposite. Do not solve. So negative 8 minus 6 would become negative 8 plus negative 6. Addition of the opposite. 5 minus negative 2 would become 5 plus positive 2. Negative 4 minus negative 8. Pause the video and try this problem on your own, and then press play when you're ready to check your answer. All right, welcome back. Let's see if you got this right. This would be negative 4 plus positive 8. Now, problem D combines plus and minus. So when we rewrite this, we only rewrite subtraction. So I'm going to keep the 3 plus 7 the same because it's addition. But we have to rewrite subtraction as addition of the opposite. So 7 minus 8 would become 7 plus negative 8. So now we have this written as an addition problem. All right. Example 3. Find each difference. So we have negative 4 minus 5. Well, when we're subtracting integers, the first thing we have to do is rewrite it. Negative 4 plus negative 5. So I rewrote it as addition of the opposite. Then you use your integer rules. Because the signs are the same, we add and take the common sign, negative 9. All right, 6 minus negative 3. First thing we're going to do is rewrite it as an addition problem. 6 plus positive 3. And now the signs are the same, so we add and use the common sign. All right, negative 5 minus negative 12. First step, rewrite as an addition problem. So negative 5 plus positive 12. Addition of the opposite. Now I'm going to use my integer rules. Because the signs are different, I subtract. 12 minus 5 is 7. Then identify the larger absolute value, which is 12. So my answer is positive. All right, problem D, 4 minus negative 4. First thing I have to do is rewrite this as addition of the opposite. So 4 plus positive 4. All right, the signs are the same, so I add, and I get positive 8. Now, in example 4, we're going to have 4 numbers. So it says find each sum or difference. So in problem A, we have 7 minus 4 plus 2 minus 10. So the first thing I want to do is rewrite this as an addition problem. So instead of 7 minus 4, I'll have 7 plus negative 4. Addition of the opposite. Then plus 2, and then plus negative 10. So that's step 1. I want to rewrite all the subtraction as addition of the opposite. Then I'm going to group up the positives together. So 7 plus 2 will go together. And then I'll group up the negatives. So 7 plus 2 is 9. Negative 4 plus negative 10 is negative 14. Then I'll add that together. So remember, when the signs are different, we subtract. 14 minus 9 is 5. Identify the number with the larger absolute value, and it's negative. So my solution is negative 5. All right, problem B. Negative 2 plus 3 minus 4 minus negative 2. So step 1 is rewrite the entire problem with addition. So negative 2 plus 3. Don't need to do anything there. Then minus 4 would become plus negative 4. And minus negative 2 would become plus positive 2. Addition of the opposite. Now, group up your positives, 3 plus 2, and group up your negatives, negative 2 plus negative 4. So this would be 5 plus negative 6. Now again, just like the last problem, the signs are different, so we subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1. Then identify the number with the larger absolute value, and it's negative. So my solution must be negative 1. All right, pause the video and try problem C on your own. Press play when you're ready to check your answer. All right, welcome back. The first thing I did is rewrote this as addition. So I said 2 plus negative 4 plus negative 1 plus positive 1. Then I grouped up the positives and I grouped up the negatives. So 2 plus 1 was 3. Negative 4 plus negative 1 is negative 5. The signs were different, so I subtracted. 5 minus 3 is 2. And I identified the number with the larger absolute value, and it was negative. So negative 2. All right, in problem D, we have negative 3 minus 2 minus negative 8 minus 1. Pause the video. Try this problem on your own. Press play when you're ready to check your answer. All right, welcome back. Let's see how you did. I rewrote this as negative 3 plus negative 2 plus positive 8 plus negative 1. Then my only positive here was an 8, and I grouped up negative 3 plus negative 2 plus negative 1. So this is 8 plus negative 3 plus negative 2 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus negative 1 is negative 6. The signs were different, so I subtracted them. I identified the number with the larger absolute value, and it's positive. So my answer was positive 2. And that concludes today's lesson, adding and subtracting integers using integer rules.